Next verse, 15.
If the unbelieving one separate, let him separate himself. A brother or sister has not been enslaved in such matters, but Elohim has called us to peace.
Has not been enslaved, meaning, according to our translations, is not under bondage, meaning not bound anymore by the marriage vows. This is if the unbelieving one separates. So, in this case, the believer must not even try to stop the unbelieving spouse to separate. Just let it happen. Allow it. Let her or let him separate. Now, does this verse does it mean that only the unbelieving spouse can initiate a divorce, a separation, a putting away? Because it says, if the unbelieving one separates, let him separate himself. Is that what it means? That you, as a believer, can never take the initiative? No, it does not. Remember Ezra chapters 9 and 10, which we read at considerable length last week. The initiative to send away, put away, divorce these unbelieving wives, that initiative was not taken by the pagan wives. The initiative was taken actually by Ezra the priest and by all the husbands, the believing husbands, who agreed with Ezra the priest. They agreed to send away their unbelieving wives. They took the initiative. Scripture cannot be broken, so if the unbelieving spouse takes the initiative, well, just let it happen. But if your spouse, unbelieving spouse, does not think well to live with you, and for instance insists on giving a pagan education to their children, well, then the believer can put that spouse, that unbelieving spouse, away. The believer can initiate a divorce. We also see Elohim has called us to peace. It is impossible to live in peace with our unbelieving spouse while she is giving us a hard time, making it difficult for us to serve Yahweh. If she does that, then we have no peace, and then we should separate. Yahweh calls us to peace, so we should not allow to continue on living for year after year after year, decade after decade, without peace, always fighting with your unbelieving spouse, for instance, about the education of the children. No, I don't want them to go to that idol worship. Oh, but I insist. No, I want them to go to the assembly with me. No. That's no peace. There's no peace. Yahweh calls us to peace. We should take initiative to restore peace, even if that means out. Get out. Or you get out, whoever. You just separate. And then verse 16.
For how do you know, O wife, whether you shall save your husband? Or how do you know, O husband, whether you shall save your wife?
So this is apparently a reference back to a few verses earlier, where the unbelieving spouse does indeed think well to live with the believer. Let's see an example of this in 1 Peter 3 verses 1 and 2 about saving your spouse. 1 Peter chapter 3 verses 1 and 2.
In the same way, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that if any are disobedient to the word, they without a word might be won by the behavior of their wives, having seen your blameless behavior in fear.
So this is indeed a situation of a believer and an unbeliever who are married. And this is a case where the husband is an unbeliever, and he says here, win them without a word. Does that sound like you must begin to sermon your husband, to give long messages and many words to your husband about his need to repent and so on, to be very vocal about your faith? No, it means without a word, without speaking. How then? Well, he will see your blameless behavior in fear. That's how the husband might be one. No guarantees. There is no guarantee. It can be that you have blameless behavior in fear for 30 years and that he still isn't one.